Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and today I'm speaking to you from Kyiv, the capital of our brave country. I am very much in love with the community that we shaped around my channel, and I always invite you to come and discover Ukraine, but of course only after we win. And as this war with Russia continues, I have to introduce you to some objects by myself. If you're new to the channel and like my videos, do subscribe to learn more about our country. And today I am in the heart of Kyiv, one of the oldest and most interesting cities of Central and Eastern Europe. There are lots of places and traditions that you can discover here or get inspired with. It all began in the 4th, 5th, 6th centuries. Different versions exist, but it was first mentioned in chronicles more than 1,500 years ago, in the times when there was no Russia and even there was no Moscow. Today I wanted to show you a monument to one of my favorite historical figures, a really strong and beautiful woman, the Princess Olha, who is famous for her revenge against the enemies who killed her husband. She is present in many of our legends and a very interesting politician of her time. But I cannot, because many of important monuments in different cities of Ukraine are hidden with the sacks of sand, and I am, as Ukrainian citizen, extremely satisfied with that. That is an invention that we have to apply if we want to protect our important cultural objects from Russian orcs, because in case of explosions and explosive waves, they can be destroyed. This way we protect our monuments and our country for the future. Now, Kyiv perhaps is one of the most interesting cities to visit, because rarely you will be able to see an important political building, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, an important cultural object, and tanks. This is a very beautiful exhibition, because this is an exhibition of destroyed Russian machines that were invading our lands but now standing burned in the heart of Kyiv, that is more alive than ever. People leave their messages where they explain we need revenge for Irpin, for Chistopilla, for Dnipropetrovщина, glory to the Ukrainian armed forces. Many important messages that demonstrate how united people are and how much they believe in the Ukrainian armed forces. I think that places like that demonstrate a lot about war. From one point of view, normal world, politics, economy, economics and culture, and from the other point of view, war that devastates the country. I believe that such exhibitions, such locations, are an important illustration of abnormalcy of war. From one point of view, we can observe calm traditional life, and then something very violent and evil interferes. The stories that people leave on the sides of these vehicles tell the tragedies of their towns and villages, and you can come and touch and feel how real all this is. One of the ideas that cannot leave me all of this time is how stupid this all is. Imagine building these really heavy metal objects and direct them against innocent people just because they are Ukrainians. Ukrainians who live surrounded by so much beauty and kindness, and they hate us and they want to destroy us with all of this. But we will always prevail because good is on our side. Now we are actually in the heart of Kyiv, that is the heart of Ukraine, and I believe that now Ukraine is the heart of the world. And it's so good that these Russian tanks, Russian machines are now burned, but not driving cars, and that they were stopped, but so close to the very heart of Kyiv, and this war continues. Perhaps many of you remember this location from the photos of President Joe Biden and President Zelensky meeting in Kyiv 1 year after the start of full-scale Russian war in Ukraine. And that was very important for us. I remember I was super emotional when I've learned about that. And we are going to enter this important church that has almost 1,000 years of history. This is Михайлівський Золотоверхий, the Golden Dome Monastery. Look how beautiful this Golden Dome St. Michael's Monastery. It is really old. It has more than 1,000 years of history. It was built back in the 12th century. In the 12th century, when Moscow did not exist, or was a swamp, as we often say it now in Ukraine. This is a beautiful architectural object, and Kyiv, 1,000 years ago, was already an important religious, cultural, political center of life in Europe, and I hope it will remain in the centuries to come. When Russian full-scale war in Ukraine started on the 24th of February 2022, there was one object that I was extremely worried about. I even did not want to post it on my vlog because I was very much afraid that this building, this architectural treasure, can be targeted by a Russian missile. Because one of their main tasks is not to invade the territory, but to erase the culture. And this is the Cathedral of Saint Sophia, which is a UNESCO heritage object. Today it is not difficult to see, to witness how Russian soldiers loot Ukrainian flats and houses. But Russians got used to looting us for centuries, and they were stealing Ukrainian history. Kyiv Rus has nothing to do with Russia, because Kyiv was the mother of Kyiv Rus history, and behind me one of the objects that remained unchangeable since the times of Kyiv Rus. The Cathedral of Saint Sophia, the Wisdom, was constructed back in 11th century, actually 1011, 1018, which is like really long ago, by one of the most prominent Ukrainian princes, Yaroslav the Wise. He was the son of the Prince Volodymyr, who actually baptized Kyiv Rus. What is also interesting, this cathedral back in its times was one of the largest buildings in the world. It has 13 domes and looks magnificent. The walls of the cathedral are decorated with many beautiful paintings and frescoes, and there are lots of inscriptions that remained since the times of the Prince Yaroslav. What is also interesting, the British Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, on his first visit to Kyiv, had an excursion, a beautiful excursion inside Sophia Kievska. The Prince Yaroslav was famous as the father-in-law of Europe. Many of his daughters married kings all over Europe, and it is very likely that some of your respected queens were actually the daughters of our Prince Yaroslav. For example, a very famous Anna of Kyiv. Sometimes I feel sorry that I did not name my channel that way. Anna of Kyiv, who later was the Queen of France, or queens of Norway, queens of Denmark, and many other European kingdoms were actually the daughters of the Kyiv Rus Prince Yaroslav. What is also important, the Cathedral of Saint Sophia was a center of cultural and education life. Ordinary people, not just royalty and nobility, had an opportunity to educate their children, to teach them how to read and write. And actually the level of literacy in Kyiv Rus was really high among other European countries. Here was a library, and a chronicle was kept to inform us about the history of the Kyiv Rus. To sum it all up, I want to say that in the times when the Cathedral of Saint Sophia was constructing, Moscow did not exist. It did not exist for 2 more hundreds of years. And at that time, Kyiv had 50,000 inhabitants, 400 churches, and 8 marketplaces. So, of course, when we talk about the history of Kyiv Rus, we talk about Kyiv and Ukraine. Today we had a really brief excursion and visited just 2 interesting places in Kyiv. There are hundreds more in our capital and in other locations of Ukraine, and I dream that you will be able to see all of them. But for that we need to win this war. To save this historical and cultural object, to save our country, and to open its doors to the tourists that can discover many interesting places here. Do subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about Ukraine, and of course support us. Stand with Ukraine and we will win this war.